We are so glad you chose not to go to the mall tonight. We are so glad you chose instead to come here to Subversive Theater as we try to keep alive a very different kind of Christmas spirit, the kind that doesn't come with a price tag attached. Tonight's show takes us back to a Christmas exactly 100 years ago. As we travel back in time to 1914, we ask that you remember there were no cell phones in World War I. There were no handheld cameras, there were no texting devices. So we ask you to turn off all your modern-day gizmos and get ready to enjoy this play the way it was intended. Our show runs just over 2 hours with one 10-minute intermission. Please be aware that this show involves some extremely loud sound effects and strobe lighting effects that may affect medical conditions. You should also know that this entire building is a non-smoking facility. There are 2 bathrooms on this floor, which you'll find down the hall on the right-hand side as you exit the theater. And as you cross through the lobby, be sure to check out all the videos and books that are available out there, and be sure to get on our mailing list so we can keep you informed about our subversive activities still to come. On behalf of all of us here at Subversive Theater, we wish you a very merry and non-materialistic holiday season, and we are honored to present to you the world debut of The Guns of Christmas.
Dear Mr. Cosgrove, I am a devoted reader of your fine journal. Your insightful articles on the nature of politics, the profit of war, and our hopelessly human worship of both have earned you enemies in the British government, but I remain a staunch, quiet supporter. Quiet, that is, until now. The end of this war has inspired me to put pen to paper, to tell a story that may hold lessons for your readers. You may have heard various accounts of the near miracle I shall describe in this letter, for the events detailed herein were not limited to my own short stretch of the battlefield. But my tale is, I think, unique among the stories of that extraordinary period. Every word is true to the extent that I remember it. It was December of 1914.
How are the men in your section doing since the death of your captain?
As well as can be expected, sir. Tired, but determined to hold the line.
I know the captain was an old school chum of yours, and losing him must have been difficult.
Yes, sir.
Well, in your grief, are you maintaining the proper discipline?
I believe so, sir.
Don't believe, man, no.
Yes, sir.
As I looked out among your men, I saw one of them light 3 cigarettes with a single match. Why was that permitted?
Matches are in short supply, sir.
3 on a match is fine during the day, but at night it gives Hun snipers a fix on your position.
Yes, sir. It shan't happen again.
Can you hold this section till the new year?
We've held it this long, sir. I believe we can.
Do I detect a note of hesitancy, Sergeant Major?
No, sir.
This line is yours, and your lieutenant's back there. You must hold it. Should the Huns break through here, stopping their advance will be a Herculean task.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Your replacements are en route. They should be here by New Year's Day.
Yes, sir.
Rare is the enlisted man who moves into the ranks of commissioned officers. Your captain led me to believe that you were not just educated, but smart enough to be that rare man. Hold this line and there may be a lieutenancy in it for you. This could be your foot in the door.
Thank you, sir.
Vicar,
Yes, sir.
you do realize you need to be here at the front. You can serve just as effectively in one of the field hospitals or command headquarters.
Sir, the captain thought I might be most effective where the men feel the greatest danger.
Perhaps, but your captain now lies in no man's land, and your commanding officers are a lieutenant and a sergeant major. Well, you have nothing to say.
Sir, I feel my work here is important. It helps men who risk their lives for king and country to see that I do the same.
Oh, I was trying to give you a chance to get away from the front. Oh.
You've had your chance, Thomas. I've urged you to move to the rear for some time now.
So I can go home to what? Ever since the captain died trying to reach the Hun trench, it gives men hope if they feel that the eye of God is upon them. For better or worse, I am that guy. Besides, you need me to talk to be your confessor, so you won't go mad.
You want to put your boot on, lad? I don't need to smell what's happening to your feet when I can feel it happening to my own.
You got a right good nose, Sergeant Major. If you could smell anything in this latrine but mud, piss, shite, and gunpowder. The way my skin is peeling off in flaps, I might lose my toes by boxing.
I told you to keep your feet dry, Billy.
How, Vicar? My boots are so leaky, John the cobbler can't even mend them. Anything I try to dry them with are wetter than they are.
No, your bedding boy on the side of your rucksack.
My bedding has lice in it, and the side of my sack is so coarse it's likely to peel the skin off.
It's a fair way from London to here, ain't it, Patty?
I already told you, Duncan. I'm from Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm proud of Liverpool schooling. Half me sheep are smart than you. Hold your feet next to one of them lanterns, or else crawl amongst them in the mud. After dark and get yourself a good pair.
And get shot searching for dead man's shoes?
Enough, both of you! By New Year's, a different unit will be here. We shall be close enough to headquarters for a decent bath. Or at least a decent foot soak.
And when I got posted to this unit, they swore we'd be home by half money. Not stinking me ass in a French bathtub, I don't think. Next we'll be teaching the Huns over anxiety.
Do you suppose you could get them to cross arms and link hands with us?
Well, they're beasts, sure enough, Becky, but I don't think their arms are that long.
Things are rather quiet. They seem to have stopped early tonight.
And so have we.
I expect our lieutenant stopped because they did.
Or maybe they both stopped because it's Christmas Eve.
Now, wouldn't that be a lovely sign from the Lord?
Oh, you're hammering. Those sneaky bastards. It's a bit peely-wally, if you ask me.
You're right. Look alert, men. John, get down to the lookout point. See if there's movement. Billy, get to the lieutenant. Let him know our status. Find out if there's anything he needs.
Yes,
Sergeant Major.
People, all of you. The mercenaries are too quiet tonight, I fear.
What do you think they are to, sir?
Patience, Gefreiter. We shall know soon enough. They are not a subtle people, the English. He crouches behind the dark grey flood, full of envy, of rage, of craft, of gall, cut off by the waves that are thicker than blood.
And that's the poem they gave us.
Yes, reciting Lissauer can win us to our purposes here. What we do for the security of the fatherland. If we don't stop the Tommies here, they'll overrun all of Deutschland.
We love is one! We hate is one! We have one foe and one alone! England!
See, lads? Young Ernst here knows the poem. You should all commit it to memory.
Yes, sir! Ernst must be proud to know it, since him and Lissauer are both Jews. Smart Jews.
And both good Germans! Unshakably serious! I have told Willy it would do him good if he followed in Ernst's example. After the war, Ernst will be a lawyer, a professor, a factory owner. The world is changing. The future belongs to the focused mind!
Wise advice. Although if I have any say in the matter, young Ernst will remain in the army and flourish.
Thank you, sir. I should be honored to do so.
Headquarters has authorized a special delivery for the holidays. is quiet enough, Velbeeble. Zoldat Wyrock will bring them out.
Them, sir?
Command felt the men would appreciate a reminder of the season. Something to let them know our cause is just, and that we're under the watchful eye of the Almighty. Who knows? That kind of inspiration may be just the thing to drive them through that line of resistance.
Yes, sir, over. It might indeed.
What was that all about, Velbeeble?
And it seems that the commanders have sent over a Christmas surprise.
Better a surprise from them than the Tommies.
True. It seems that you've made quite an impression on Yorvers. He has plans for your future. I won't be surprised if you attach him to his staff in some way.
Trying to survive this war, Velbeeble. I would be honored to render long service to the army.
I imagine it would be more excitement than working in your father's accounting firm.
Yes. He is a good man, but not a modern man. Keeps our oldest traditions around for no other reason than tradition itself. He does not see the world changing around him.
Listen to the Gefreiter. Think about your future. You don't want to end up a pig farmer like my father and me, smelling of shit, blood, and sausages, and coming home to a greasy woman who still smiles when you walk through the door. That's what I have to look forward to.
That doesn't sound too bad to have a woman smiling at you when you get home.
Except when her teeth are all gone and that ugly smile's good for only one thing.
Zoda! Remember, we have young charges here who are innocent, unwise to the ways of the world. And it is not our purpose to educate them. It is to gain ground so we can end this war as soon as possible, so you can get back to your life, and we can start looking for ours.
Yes, Velbeeble. In any case, that part of their education may be waiting when we take Paris, huh?
Better a French flirt than a Tommy Tot.
Well, they seem to be taking the night off. Ernst? You can tell Herman he can bring in the special delivery from headquarters if he wants.
My mother made me a cake for Christmas. Shall I get it, fellow people?
Only if you intend on sharing it.
Herman says the delivery is small Christmas trees.
Christmas trees?
Yes. They're to be put on top of the trench for our fallen comrades still in need, Mansland.
Oh, the snipers on how they move.
My eyes aren't what they used to be, Percy.
Dark, Vicar. If you don't mind my saying so, this is a hell of a place. A hell of a time to be trying to read the Word of God.
Where better and when than this hell we've made for ourselves? This sun is where we need to feel closest to God, especially when we have killed.
I doubt seriously the Almighty has any greater stake in this war than he does in a football match. This is human folly. A feud between cousins who happen to be kings.
I forgot you're one of those free thinkers, aren't you?
I expect that term is redundant.
Oh, sir.
Those who think for themselves are free, even though they be bound. Those who rethink the thoughts of others are not free, however endless the ground that stretches before them.
Who said that?
I did. Something I tell my students every year.
In the hope that they will rethink your thoughts. What are you reading now?
H.G. Wells, The War That Will End War. I got it in October. I carry it with me everywhere. Give me the strength to go on.
As though it were your Bible and not the work of a dreamer who put Martian war machines in the English countryside.
Wells is not a dreamer. He's a visionary. In his book, The War in the Air, Germany attacks America with airships. Mark my words, if we don't end this war quickly, we'll see airships over London. And his descriptions of a most terrible weapon he calls the atomic bomb.
Put your faith in God, Sergeant Major, not the rantings of a man with a fantastical imagination.
Sorry, Vicar. Can't seem to embrace the illusions of simplistic faith. Not just in God, but in those who put us in this hell, who said we'd be home for Christmas.
I find it ironic that a man with so little faith in the existence of God punishes himself so much for having shot one of God's creatures.
Not one of his creatures. One one of his unarmed emissaries.
We've discussed this, Percy. Dusk, gun smoke, gunfire, shell bursts. You couldn't see the cross on his arm until he fell.
There is no going back now to peace. Our men must die, in heaps and thousands. We cannot delude ourselves with dreams of easy victories. We must all suffer endless miseries and anxieties. Out of it all must come one universal resolve, that this iniquity must be plucked up by the roots. There must be no more buying and selling of guns and warships and war machines. Kings and Kaisers must cease to be the commercial travelers of monstrous armament concerns. There must be no making of weapons in the air. Wells believes that this war must make war so horrible we will never fight another. We will end war, or war will end us.
My Bible says that there will be wars and rumors of war until the end of time. Let's meet back here in 100 years and see who's right.
100 years from now may be the end, or only the beginning of that end.
Sergeant Major, you should see this. The Huns are putting up Christmas trees.
Christmas trees? Beasts, but festive beasts? Are these the men who put bayonets through babies in Belgium?
Remember your Aeschylus, Vicar. In war, the first casualty is truth.
So far, nobody shot at our trees.
Snipers must be taking Christmas off to put some meat on the damp English bones with another tin of beans from Queen Victoria's funeral.
More likely waiting for us to stick our heads up. I trust our snipers are at the ready.
No need for snipers. Just give them some of your mother's cake filling and we can kill them all without a shot.
Hungry bellies can't be beggars.
But they can rebel, and mine did.
Quiet, old guy. The cake wasn't all that bad. The boy meant well. Don't listen to him, Billy. Rudolph is just mad that he's here for Christmas and is taking it out on you.
It has nothing to do with Christmas, fair people. I don't celebrate it and I'm angry too. We'd all be home if it weren't for the English. We should be angry at them.
Well, maybe it's Christmas that keeps their fingers off the tree.
Then throw Weihnachten, fellow people.
Go by now.
Vor Weihnachten, Frau Weber. Vor Weihnachten, Rudolf. Vor Weihnachten, Hermann.
Go by now. Whoa.
Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, alle Schlacht, einsam Bad, nur das traute Haupt, heilige Part. Hol der Abend lachigen Haar, schlaf in himmlischer Ruhe, schlaf in himmlischer Ruhe.
Bloody Hunt's exposing himself. I got a clean shot.
No, Duncan, best not to kill a man when he's talking to God.
Heilige Nacht, Gottes Sohn, o wie lacht, lieb aus deinem gottlichen Mund, da unschlag der Rettende Stund. Jesu in deiner Geburt, Jesu in deiner Geburt.
That such a reason can cunning with the Huns.
Duncan's right, son. You best not go out.
When cousins fight, Vicar, someone has to be the adult in the room.
Is he surrendering? Did we win?
Stuck in this sty for 2 weeks, getting shot every time we try to go over there, shooting dead every time they try to come over here. Why would he surrender? And he has his gun out.
Why would he make himself such an easy target? Well, at this range, I could use my mountain.
No! Shooting a man waving a flag of truce would be dishonorable. I will be talking to him.
No fair feeble! It could be trickery!
Then you should avenge me, really. If I did not shoot back fast enough.
Speak English?
Yes. I learned at university. You speak German?
Not well. Took the first in French.
I guess that's good for where you came from.
Not for where we're standing.
Or where we might go. Sergeant Major, no?
Yes. You're a sergeant.
Earl, my lieutenant is over there.
You're my captain, I see. Hand to hand.
Until one or both got shot. So here we are, 2 non-commissioned officers. Neither one of us important enough to make the grand decisions of war.
Maybe not for the world. Perhaps for this sliver of it.
Well, I guess university learning should give us a foundation for discussion. What did you do before you were dragged into this campaign?
I was a master at a boys' academy in London. I taught. Why are you smiling?
You're not what I expected, Englishman. Do you not recognize the smile of a fellow teacher?
You're a teacher.
Even we, what do you call us, Huns? Even we Huns have children who must educate.
What did you teach?
Mathematics in Munich. You?
Literature. London.
So maybe between the two of us, we have the numbers and words to make a grand decision for this piece of land. What do you suggest?
Winston, my captain, was an old schoolmate of mine. I should like to bury him. He was too fine a fellow to become rat food.
You're proposing a truce?
I suppose I am. At least a ceasefire.
A ceasefire unsanctioned by your commanders?
Yes.
On this piece of ground no bigger than a Germania stamp from the Reichspost.
But it is our postal stamp. As men of honor, we can agree to fire no shots while we bury our dead.
Why stop there, Englishman? Why don't you just call it the end of the war so we can all go home for Christmas?
Because then we would all be shot for desertion. But we may be able to get away with a ceasefire for a day.
Sergeant Major! Sergeant Major! John! It's happening all along the trenches on both sides. Men are putting down their guns and coming into no man's land. There's to be no shooting tonight or tomorrow.
A Christmas truce?
Why not?
There'd be more than 30 hours without shooting. That would give war, what you would say in English, a bad name.
If we're lucky. It would also give our men a much-needed respite, a chance to celebrate Christmas. And it would give both of us time to bury our dead.
Yes. The smell is an indignity that cheapens their sacrifice.
As does being robbed of their boots in the dark. I'm sure that our chaplain would say a few words.
Would he say a few words for our field captain, who lies staring at the heavens over there, near my lieutenant and your captain?
Oh. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. It is your job to make sure we die for our country. It is our job to make sure you die for yours. We might try this truce so we can all catch a breath. But we are still at war!
I am sorry. I do the job required of me the best I can, but I have no desire to make anyone else die for anything. I've seen enough of that this past few weeks. I'd rather be at home with my wife.
So what would your commanders think about this spontaneous peace on earth?
Probably the same thing that your superiors would think.
It'd probably be best if we did not tell them. Nobody's counting the bullets just yet. And one day of peace will not put the Crook family out of business.
Nor Armstrong Whitworth, nor Vickers Limited. And now that we've given due consideration to the men who get rich making the arms we use to kill each other,
You've got yourself a truce, Englishman, and much to do on this day we've given ourselves. The Englishman and I have agreed on a truce that will last until midnight tomorrow. We will celebrate Christmas and we will bury our dead, but we will not be the first ones to break this truce. He is a man of honor, the type of man we must talk with when the war is won.
Yeah! I'm not sure what the sergeant said to his men because I don't speak German, but he and I have agreed to a truce until midnight tomorrow. No exchange of fire so we can bury our dead and celebrate the birth of Christ. I think his men approve. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
It seems that even the madness of war must exhaust itself from time to time.
Like a lunatic who screams and bashes his head against his cell wall. When he knocks himself cold, the attendant knows he'll wake up again,
but they are more than grateful for even brief peace and quiet. Sergeant, this is Private Bridges.
John? I am Johann. That is John in German.
Sergeant.
Call me Johann, please.
Then call me Thurston. Johann, I believe that our chaplain knows German. Is there anyone else on your side who speaks English? We may need to assist our men with their endeavors at communication.
Their endeavors to... Oh, so you mean so the men can speak to each other? Let's not make language any more difficult than it is.
Yes, you're quite right.
I think my Lance Corporal Ernst, he knows how to speak English. Ernst!
You too, Vicar.
Vicar, is it? I am Feldwebel. I am Johann. And you have already met Ernst. It would be kind of you if you both could help the men speak to one another.
Yes, fair people.
To speak to one another. Percy, is this what I...
Yes, Vicar. Shake his hand.
But yes, of course, Sergeant.
Johann, please.
Johann. I am Thomas. Yes.
Would it be possible that you might be able to say a few words when necessary?
A few words?
For the dead and ours?
Yes, I suppose a few words would be fitting. Shall we help our men, Ernst?
Amen. Yes, Thomas. Of course. What have you given him to drink?
Only the finest malt whiskey in the world. Cask straight, not watered down. It'll dull the hair in your chest and your ass and make you busy man through wood.
It's like schnapps without fruit. It makes hair grow on your tits and arse and turns your cock into flamethrower.
Don't worry, Englishman. The boy can't hold his schnapps either.
I'm Billy. Not much of a drinker.
Pig dogs, bad enough having to be in the shithole, but having to share it with them?
I don't know what you're saying, poor bugger, but my side's got its share of bastards too. They treat me the same way just because I'm young. I'm Billy.
Billy?
Yes, Billy.
I'm Billy.
Blimey, Billy and Billy. If we had talent, they'd put us in a music hall, sure enough.
Billy says that if you could sing, the two of you could perform together in England. Maybe he can juggle.
Maybe somebody ought to shoot him for that.
It would be a mercy, son, but let's wait till tomorrow.
The boots are right good, though. Wish I had a pair.
Well, Billy likes your boots. He wishes his were in as good shape. He worries about trench rot.
I'm moving. It's a bit on the sweet side, but it'll do the job. I'll make him hungry.
Duncan's from Scotland, where they speak a bit differently. He's what they call a blatherskite.
To kill it. Insult, nigger.
I believe he was complimenting your drink.
He's a crazy Scot. But he likes your snobs.
Oh, it's an abomination. You should give some to Billy.
He's a compound to help keep out the moisture.
I believe he understands what you're doing.
He can keep the tin. You have another.
He says you may keep this.
Thank you. Danke?
Bitte?
So, John, my namesake. Tell me about yourself.
Well, sir, I'm a cobbler in a village not far from Birmingham.
Birmingham? Yes, I've heard of it. And you don't need to call me sir. Oh, to apologize. So you are a shoemaker?
I'm more an apprentice to my father. He can do more with boots in our trench than I can. I'm still learning.
And so you inherited business?
Yes.
Shoemaking is a good business for our family. You believe it to your son? I saw that you were showing a picture to some of my men. Your wife, I would very much like to see it. I myself am not married, so I cannot show you a photograph of my own.
I'm not married, sir. Sergeant. The men who aren't married sometimes carry pictures of their mothers.
Oh, so it's your mother. I'd very much like to see it.
Actually, it's my sister. My mom died when I was 7 during childbirth, and that's her full name is Elizabeth.
She's like the queen from Shakespeare's time.
Yes. Bass was only 15 and took care of me and my brother. She gave up her schooling to make sure that we were clothed, fed, and brought up proper. She's the only mom I've ever really known.
John. She's breathtaking.
Yeah, she's a right beautiful girl. The sweetest person in all the world.
Well, her husband must be a very lucky man.
Oh, she's not married. Well, since the right bloke hasn't come along yet.
Her husband will be a very lucky man.
Yes. Yes.
So did she give up her schooling? She resumed her studies?
No, she is a teacher though. She finished secondary and got invited to university, and that's what she gave up. But when my brothers and I were old enough, she started teaching at our village school.
Ah, strong of character, beautiful and intelligent.
Yes.
John, never knew you had a wife.
Oh, I told Sergeant Major, this is my sister. It's the woman I hold closest to my heart.
Lovely girl, isn't she?
Yes, she is. This is the girl that I hold closest to my heart.
I see you're as lucky as John's brother-in-law.
But I don't have a brother-in-law.
You will, John. You certainly will. And you, Johann, have you a wife?
No, I have not been fortunate enough to be embraced by a good woman. A bad one here and there.
I think every man has known a bad woman here or there, especially in some of these villages.
I don't think bad women only come from the lower classes. The last woman I kept company with was very well bred, but never bothered to see me out when my troop train left.
That must have hurt.
Nah, I wasn't that disappointed. A little jealous though, because everybody else had someone to hug and kiss goodbye. Kind of like here, everyone else has a photograph to show.
Would you give me a moment alone with the sergeant?
Yes, Sergeant Major. Happy Christmas.
Thank you, John. Why would he give me his chocolate?
John is an outstanding soldier, but you must understand the kind of man he is.
Now, what kind of man is this?
A man of the future, I hope. Without a drop of hatred in his soul. Moved by simple goodness, to live and let live. He will kill when he must, but given a chance, he'll step onto the path of angels.
I do not understand.
Some weeks ago, in a different trench, John shot one of your men as he was trying to come inside. The man fell down right on top of John, but he wasn't dead. Instead of firing a second shot to finish the job, John put down his pistol, did everything he could to save the man's life. That man is now a prisoner.
So he would shoot me, and if I survive, he would raise a glass to me at the end of the war. This is your job.
Yes.
I think I understand him. This chocolate is delicious.
You were saying something about having no picture.
I have not yet found my Brunhilde.
I see.
I'm an only child. Technically an orphan, seems that my parents are dead. And grew up in the country estate, spreading my time between the fields and the forest, in the window seat in my father's library. In the mornings I would spend with Archimedes and Newton. You see, I love numbers and puzzles. Most afternoons, outside, I would be Siegfried, driving my sword through the heart of the dragon, and claiming Brunhilde for my own.
I see. You were caught between the hard reality of mathematics and boyhood dreams of adventure and love.
Yeah, if you knew my father, you would know how hard reality won. No matter. Mathematics is my anchor, keeps me grounded. But there are times that I do long for the grand adventure of going through the ring of fire and finding my love on the other side.
I wouldn't have thought of you as a romantic. You seem like a stern person now. Who's logical, precise, and one who tallies rather than tarries.
In war, we are who we need to be, but we do not survive.
Rosalind is what makes me survive. The hope of looking into her eyes once more.
Ah, a man of letters. You see, I would have pictured you as a romantic. Rising with the measure of guilt because of all these bad women from the villages.
Is it that obvious?
No. You are surrounded by death. And the only antidote for this insanity is the warmth of a woman. Your Rosalind, she would understand. How did Shakespeare put it? Country matters.
That's a fair thought to lay between maids' legs.
For you to have guilt because you so love Rosalind, I would die to feel that way about a woman.
Then let us drink to emerging through this ring of fire unburnt and purified for all we've done here, that I may get back to Roz
and you may find your Brunhilde.
You'll be good as new, boy. But if you really want the girls back in Paris to climb all over you, what you really need is a professional shave.
He is nervous, having so sharp a blade so close to his throat.
I'm a good barber. The best. You don't get to be the best by killing your customers. Tell him I may shoot him later, but I will never disgrace my profession by killing him now.
He's proud of his tonsorial skills, Billy. He just wants to give you a shave. He says if you don't like it, you can shoot him after the truce is over.
Tell my book, Vicar. I bloody well will.
And Billy is grateful that you will make him look good enough for the girls in Paris. Now this boy, if he doesn't keep his boots on, no girl will have him. But with trench rot, typhus, and the French pox going around, I don't know which part of it is going to fall off first.
Like it? Ordinarily, I dislike English confection. I like the body of Swiss and German delights. But yes, I do like it. Very much. What is it?
New candy. It's Fry's Turkish Delight. It just came out this year, and I can't get enough of them. My sister sent me a dozen, and that's the last one.
Just share it with me.
You're the only person I haven't seen smile tonight. You look like a man who worries too much. Someone who could use more chocolate in his life.
But thank you.
Then smile. A day no one dies is a jolly day indeed.
Someone said you're a farmer. Someone said you're a farmer.
Rudolph here said you're a farmer. He a farmer too. Swine, pigs.
Pigs? Bangers and neats and tailies and blood pudding do make a table well pleasant. I myself am a sheep farmer. No better stock than sheep. I've got a good life. I've got a stout wife. I've got a pasture as wide as these trenches are long. 2 stout laddies are going to take over the place someday.
It's a sheep farmer. He has a large farm, large wife, and 2 young sons.
Sheep. Get him to tell you what I told you about sheep. You don't see many where you're from.
Most useful animal. Me lambs and mutton are sweet, and me hogs...
Hogs? I thought you raised sheep.
I do now. Where I buy a hog is a sheep that has not yet lost her first beast.
I see.
I told you, a youth's privy parts are just like a woman's. Ask it, he'll prove me right.
I could not ask him that.
Why not?
Because we are in the middle of a war. Or a truce, or whatever the hell we're doing. We cannot be asking the enemy questions about bestiality.
I didn't say to tell him you want to fuck one, just ask him what it looks like.
He would like to know if a girl sheep, a lady sheep,
A ewe.
He would like to know whether ewes' privy parts look like a woman's. I'm so sorry for asking.
Oh, then if he black affronted like this, near the first time I've been asked that one.
No?
Well, there's a resemblance. A cunner's a cunner, after all. But it's nae half the well.
Says you're right. But you're better off sticking with your wife so you don't itch.
Well, now as we're back to the finer points of farming, there's something that I know about the pig. I hear the pig's willies are long.
Oh yeah, it's a corkscrew cock. When it comes, it takes a half hour.
It does?
It's hilarious, boy.
He understood your question. He says it is long, and like a corkscrew. And he says the pig's critical moment, pig's crisis lasts a half hour.
A half hour? Where's the lucky bastard put it off? Oh, it's sure to make a man sore, maid. No wonder they send him to the flesher young. I myself have been with nothing but bacon after a poking like that.
You would be right fine, Billy. If me and you could go to Paris, we'd show those young girls a few things about young men. What do you say?
If your friend here is suggesting Billy goes into Paris for girls, tell him to save his breath. Billy here knows as much about girls as your king and my Kaiser know about scratching flea bites on their asses in these trenches.
I kissed a woman once.
Your mother doesn't count, boy. She has to kiss you, or else admit it was a mistake to have you. There, you're all done. You look so handsome. So I don't know who you're trying to impress. Maybe the English have a camera so you can send a picture home to your mother. Ah, it feels good to do what God put me on this earth to do. Cut hair. Next.
Well, we don't have a camera, but I believe I could use a trim. That way, if you shoot me tomorrow night, I'll look presentable when I stand before God.
Vicar, we Germans are civilized. We try not to shoot people with collars on their necks and crosses on their sleeves.
So are we. Those are the rules of war.
And yet our captain lies dead, just a short distance behind me. Collar, cross, even a Bible in his hand.
And we shot him.
We didn't shoot him.
Of course not. I know our boys try not to target men like your captain and me. It must have been an accident, right, John?
Vicar?
This fellow's chaplain is dead, and he says we shot him.
His name is Hunt.
Hunt? Oh, yes! Herman says we shot his chaplain.
Well, we probably did. That was artillery fire. Either way, that's dead.
The point is, honorable men try not to kill medics or men of God. The rules of war.
Wait, war has rules. Hate the other fellow enough to shoot him in the head, but don't shoot the priest or vicars because they don't shoot you. Rules? Whose bloody idea was that?
The chaplain's death must have been unintentional.
You know, war could use a few more rules, like banning fleas, lice, and rats from the trenches. Or when it snows, how about we stop shooting at each other so we can find a place.
John here too says it must have been an accident.
So much for the rules of war. As if something like war could actually have rules.
John, why do you think we are at war?
To be honest, Micah, I have no clue. The only rule of war would be not to have one.
If you will take me to him, I will say a prayer over him. He was your captain, but he was my brother in Christ. It is the least I can do.
Then I finish your haircut.
Oh, you can take me now, I don't mind.
Oh, but I do. You see, I found people saying Herman Weineck from Dortmund leaves his customers half cut. I take pride in my work.
Herman, do you know why we're at war?
Some royal Austrian buggers that nobody really likes got shot. When they went after the people that did it, Russia got mad. Austria declared war on Serbia. We declared war on Russia, France, and Belgium. Then England declared war on us. And we are here now because England wants to overrun Germany. So that is all I know. Why do you think we're at war?
Because my king and his cousin, your Kaiser, said we were. We're here because we don't want Germany to overrun England the way they overran Belgium and Luxembourg.
What if I told you we don't want England? I don't want it. None of the men in my trench want it either.
Well, we certainly don't want Germany.
You don't want our land. We don't want your land. Why don't we all just pack up and go home?
Because it's not our decision to make.
Then perhaps it should be. But perhaps not. I think the people that say we must go to war know more about it than we do.
What if they don't?
Then it is no matter. I am a patriot. I follow my country for good or bad. Shave?
No, thank you. If you will take me to your captain, I'll say that prayer now.
Here, voth. Before it gets too late, perhaps we should begin to deal with these brave souls who have fallen.
Yes, a sad but necessary duty. Your captain will say a few words. He seemed hesitant.
I'm sure that he will.
okay, Herman?
Yes, Felvible. I will be fine. I just need some time.
The truth will give you that time.
There's a letter I must write.
I'll be happy to write it for you. Honored, in fact.
It is my responsibility. Thank you, Vicar.
Bitte.
It is difficult to lose a comrade, a friend.
More difficult still to lose a beloved uncle.
Herman's up in Hans. His mother told her brother was a Lutheran minister in Dortmund. Herman, he grew up as an altar boy in the church. Hans was our captain. He was the kindest, wisest man I've ever known. He refused to work back at headquarters of the field hospital because he said some man needed him here, so that they knew that God did not abandon them. And he also wanted to keep an eye on his nephew.
How did he die?
Nobody knows. It was bullets flying, artillery bursting, smoke everywhere. Hans, he heard one of the privates out there crying because he was wounded. He went out and I saw him. He was holding up his Bible to show that he was a captain. But the wind blew away the smoke. He was on his back.
He was still clutching that Bible when we went to him. It is soaked and filthy, but Herman will send it home to his mother.
Johann, I think it's best if we begin to deal with the dead. The vicar here will say a few words for all of us. Then I propose we gather the bodies together in places where we can bury them in the morning.
Yes, you are right. It will take a few moments for me to get my men together, and then we will begin.
You didn't know, Percy.
Their chaplain, holding his Bible high, and I shot him right in the chest. I didn't see his arm then, Thomas. I didn't.
If it is any consolation, I don't believe he suffered. War is a breeding ground for sin, but God will understand your heart.
It matters not whether I targeted him, or how many men I've killed, or how many tears I've shed on the breasts of Belgian girls. Whatever my sins, the Almighty must have no stake in this nonsense. If he's up there, he must be disgusted with this whole thing. As disgusted with me as Ross would be.
He will tell you in his own way what disgusts him. And Rosalind will tell you in hers.
Gods and kings and silly things, they damn the lot of us, they do. But we have a duty to perform. Even those of us who are unsure if God exists must hold this duty sacred. We must see to our dead, and the Germans to theirs, with all the dignity that their sacrifice demands.
Yes, we all need time to bury our dead. I will say a prayer.
Not just a prayer, Vicar. A service that will honor the lives of these men, all of them.
A service?
We need you to preside over this mass funeral. Can you do that?
But these Huns, their customs must be different from ours. There are so many men.
Please, Thomas. We need absolution from what we've done. Even those of us who doubt.
All right, Percy, all right.
I will speak to our men. I'll let them know of the task we must undertake.
Dear Heavenly Father, grant me the strength And the words, and the courage. And if there is any way you could permit Jane to reach out to me and lessen the weight in my heart, please.
My sergeant asked me to translate whatever prayers you may offer. He thought you'd find it less troublesome than switching from language to language in the middle of a speech.
Yes, thank you, Ernst.
Is everything all right, Thomas?
Well, aside from having no idea what to say that will reconcile this carnage with the glory that I know is God, everything is wonderful, just wonderful.
My father's rabbi would tell of the story of performing a wedding, where the bride and groom were very much in love. The parents despised each other. It's like trying to balance on the E string of a violin while trying to play it. Easy, I think, compared to what you face here.
I suppose we are like feuding families, momentarily setting aside their quarrel for a greater good. Has God abandoned us? Has he just shut us out like an exhausted parent who sends his children outside to play for his own peace of mind? In Philippians it is written that the peace of God passeth all understanding. But this,
if these remains are evidence that passes peace understanding, then perhaps the same can be said of the Creator's tolerance of suffering. What parent doesn't come running at the cry of pain from the child he sent outside?
In your faith, as I recall, God is viewed as having no body, no physical characteristics.
Yes. And as such, he is beyond anything today, yesterday, and forever. But he does punish those who break his commandments. At least I was taught that as a child.
And here out here we have broken so many. Perhaps war and its miseries are our punishment for what we do to each other.
My father's rabbi would say that God made the heavens, but we make Tophet by drifting away from God's will.
Tophet, yes, the burning place. And again, your father's rabbi. Have you drifted away from God, Ernst, become a free thinker like my friend Percy?
I have simply decided not to think about that, which I can never understand. These are the names of our men who've fallen. We thought you might at least like to see them.
Yes, thank you, Ernst.
So our fallen, the men thought you could perhaps mention their names.
There are so many.
The hell we make has a ravenous appetite.
Best to get on with it then. Make room in this endless battle for the rest of us.
Friends, and those who might have been friends had we met outside a tavern instead of a trench. We are gathered in the sight of God and at the scene of our greatest folly. We are not here to celebrate this war, nor to damn those who began it without putting their own boots into mud. We are here to celebrate the lives this war has claimed, and the beginning of the one life that will save us all. The book of John tells us, there is no greater love than this, that a man shall lay down his life for his friends. These men loved us, all of us, German and British alike. They loved us and they laid down their lives for us. As warriors, we understand their sacrifice. As warriors, We have more in common than we like to think. The truce has barely begun, but how quickly we have shared pictures and stories, food and drink. And as warriors, we know that all too soon we shall be shooting at each other once again. Look overhead on this quiet night, this silent night, with so few guns booming in the distance, and the first prospect of a peaceful dawn in weeks. What do you see? Stars. Hundreds, thousands, perhaps millions of stars. We hope and pray that these will light our fallen brethren the path to God and life everlasting. The men we celebrate died for us, as did the child born that first Christmas when he became a man. As Jesus died on the cross that we might live forever, they laid down their lives on the battlefield that we might live another day. There is no greater love in heaven or earth. In the morning, we will commit them to the ground in the sure and certain hope that tomorrow night we shall see their souls flickering in the sky, perhaps lighting us a path to God and out of this damnable war. I will now read their names, all of them, because they deserve to have the stars hear who they were. As I read, I ask that you go to them and remove them to the common place where we will bury them. Captain Hans Moser, Captain Winston Clark, Heinrich Meyer, William Brown, Adolf Schmidt, Walter Bolingbroke, Kurt Haas, Kenneth Smith, Eric Obermuller, George Davies, Horst Leitner, Charles Hall, Conrad Huber, Owen Tolliver, Hans Stufler, Robert Ross, Otto Fuchs, Lester Chillingworth, Fritz Brandauer, Hitzi Norfolk.
Imagine it, Mr. Cosgrove. We worked well into the night, vomiting up our meager rations, then vomiting up bile and air and hope as we collected body after body after body. Bodies with limbs and rotting faces and cheeks eaten away by rats. Bodies covered with ants and flies and crawling with maggots. Bodies with bellies that had burst open from gases, with entrails full of excrement leaching into the mud. Bodies that had lain so long in no man's land, only a few threads of flesh remained. We worked through the night, then slept a few hours and worked through the morning, burying them. They were children of God, slain by other children of God in the name of God, and we took them to their final rest with God. They deserve to have the stars hear their names. Ha! Who the hell did we think we were? What the hell did we think we were doing? After the previous night's mass from mass burial, or was it just a bitter Christmas sermon? The morning felt more bearable. A warrior is always grateful to see a new day, but seldom does he witness Another sunrise with so much certainty we will also see another sunset. Was the day as bright and warm as I remember, or had the postponement of fear masked the clouds and lessened the bite of the cold? Having risen early to dig so many graves, shallow and shared, we were exhausted by noon and quiet, perhaps lost in contemplation of what, I suppose, depending on the individual doing the thinking. For me, it was that I might have but a single day of life left.
There!
Sure you want to make that move, Billy?
Yes, the driver. It gives me your queen.
Well, no, say I didn't give you a chance. Checkmate!
But, I took your queen, your most powerful piece, and I took it with a pawn.
You did not take her, Billy. I sacrificed her. She did not mind because she wanted her side to win. But don't worry. The more you play, the better you become.
I'll never understand this game.
It's all about strategy, planning, protect your king at all costs. Everyone else can be sacrificed, but you can better.
After 3 games, I have learned I'm no substitute for the Feldwebel. And as the Feldwebel would say, I think like a pawn, not a general.
Rabbit, how many times can you read that same magazine?
As many as I have to, until the new magazines arrive.
Don't you remember what you read?
Sometimes. Often I find little things I missed before. Like here. You know Japan declared war on us.
That was months ago.
Yes, but did you know that just last month, Germany surrendered a colony we had in China to Japan?
Yes, I knew that, Herman. They blockaded our port settlement at Qingdao, and they overtook some of our island colonies in the Pacific.
Is that how you say it? Qingdao.
Yes.
I didn't know we had any colonies in China or the Pacific.
We are an empire. We have lands everywhere.
Have you ever seen a Japanese or a Chinese?
Aside of a magazine photograph, no. Oh wait, I did see Japanese men once at the Japanese Pavilion at the Brussels International Exposition a few years ago. My father took us.
Little people with strange eyes and funny-looking clothes.
Yes. These men were acrobats, but they were small, very different looking.
So this Austrian Archduke gets shot. And so we go to war with these little people on the other side of the world. I am a patriot and I will fight wherever my country needs me to.
Admirable!
But I don't understand any of this. No Japanese ever stole bread from my cousin's bakery or left my shop without paying. Next we'll be fighting the black people in Africa.
We already lost a colony there. But that was to that was to the British and French, not to black Africans.
You think this truce will hold until midnight?
I would not be surprised if the English dogs start shooting early in some kind of surprise attack. I'm ready to fight, and I suggest you should be ready too.
Yesterday, when I was cutting his hair, the English captain asked me a question I cannot forget. What if they are wrong?
Who?
The leaders, the kings, the kaisers, the generals, all of them.
Must have some kind of social order, Herman. And that begins with the Kaiser, the kings, the generals. Surely you're not advocating anarchy.
I don't even know what anarchy is.
Then perhaps it is best to avoid thinking about that which you can never understand. Can I interest you in a game of chess? Unlike Billy, you've actually beaten me before in the past.
If 2 wins in 19 tries is anything but stupid luck.
Sooner or later, you get your third win. This could be it.
Vicar, if you're tired, why don't you head back to the support trench dugout and take a nap?
I'm not tired, Sergeant Major.
You're not yourself. Of course, Between last night and this morning, you must have said 3 months' worth of prayers, so I do understand if you have nothing left to say.
Percy, I am simply thinking, something I am unaccustomed to doing on Christmas. There was always so much to do in the village and the church. At this time of year, there was never much time left for thinking. Morning services were always a joyous gathering of parish families. Then in the afternoon, my wife and I would hold a special tea for their children. In the evening, after dining with one of the families, we would return to the vicarage and have hot cocoa and read until time for bed.
Sounds like a most pleasant day.
We read every night before bed, but Christmas and Sundays were special because, however busy, they were never days of toil. Hard to buy lots of books on a vicar's stipend, so I usually read my Bible, but my wife begged, borrowed, and devoured many popular books, even a few by H.G. Wells. I'm sure you would have liked it.
I know I would have. You don't speak of her that often.
It's almost as though I'm afraid to say too much about her. As though describing her or telling what she did will somehow force a piece of my memory of her to slip away.
I believe she would thank you for thinking of her at Christmas.
It was not Christmas that made me think of her.
The burials.
After saying prayers over Jane and the child she died trying to have, I never thought watching another person interred could affect me so deeply.
You led the service for your own wife and child?
I suppose if I had wired, the bishop would have sent someone, but I was the vicar, it was my job.
And what better way to reaffirm your faith than by doing your job? Except perhaps exposing yourself to the possibility of death to rejoin your family in the afterlife.
You are wise beyond your years. I grieved for Jane. I missed her terribly, but I never doubted my own faith. But it's different here. There are so many, and most of them so young.
Aye, too many. Oh, that shoving the back the like of a big tree. It still had to be done. I just hope when my share's through, you'll shovel me in right and tight. About here, Vickers, where you say have faith and believe in God.
Well, if you remember what I said, perhaps there's no need to repeat it.
Or maybe you'll understand the boys. We broke our backs burying with praying too. Wonder if there's lots over there be thinking the same thing.
I can't imagine why they wouldn't be. They're men the same as us. They're not. They have no hooves, no horns, no tails.
Well, not savage-like. But they're killing and invading, and men, women, children, thousands in the rape of Belgium. That's what we're here for, to sort them out.
And yet one of them sang Silent Night beautifully. And one of them is a farmer like you.
What? Rudolph?
They're not much different from us.
Oh, come midnight, I pull my triggers with the rest of the lads, and sooner if the Huns start in.
And they'll pull theirs, as will our replacements, and theirs, all stuck in the same mud.
Do you think America will join in?
President Wilson has said they will remain neutral. Neither side poses a threat to them. And their people come from so many corners of the continent, national consensus would be difficult.
Long ago, I had a cousin, a country lad like me, booked passage to America, got across the ocean, took a piece of the sea life, got a job on a big lake freighter, and settled down with a wife in a place called Buffalo. Got a couple of barefoot parents running about.
I should like to have children someday.
Yeah, sent us pictures. Only the bands are a wee bit dusky looking, because the sea life wasn't the only thing we fell in love with. You see, this woman is black. No pale Scot with freckles for him. It's Speaking of Earls, I've been trying to write my wife about this here truce. About the singing and drinking and passing of the cigarettes. And nay about the burying. I don't want to give her a troubled head. Still, a finish misgives me.
If you want to comfort her, tell her this Christmas is extraordinary. The most beautiful day you've seen since you got to the front.
There it is. Thank you, Vicar.
Thomas, you be sure to tell Jane the same thing.
I already have. Tell me about your wife, Percy.
Ross? She's a tall girl. Almost as tall as I am. Skinny, very skinny, with auburn hair. She writes poetry. Perfect pastime for the wife of a master at the Boys' Academy. She's very serious about it, assiduous in her studies of the great poets. That was the second thing that drew me to her.
What was the first?
Eyes so blue you could swim in them and cleanse yourself. She is the younger sister of one of my colleagues at the academy. He thought we might make a good match, so he invited me to his parents' home for supper.
A good family?
Yes. Our father's a solicitor who's had many professional dealings with the language.
I imagine he made sure you heard Lord Kitchener's call to service.
That is precisely how I came to be here. Regularly writing birthday greetings to a girl born in the spring, in case I'm not alive when the day comes.
You're one right lucky bastard, John. Promise me if I die out here, you won't go after my family for the money I owe you.
Would you like a chance to win some of it back?
Of course!
I shall play goalkeeper. For every one you get past me, I'll lower your debt by 10.
And here there's no room.
Out there.
In no man's land?
Why not?
But it's no man's land.
Bodies are gone. We have a truce till midnight. It's perfect.
Well, Girlfriend, it seems that the truce is holding most places up to the north. No shooting, no artillery. They're even saying our men are eating with the French and the English.
A day off is most appreciated, fair people. But eating with them? What does High Command say?
About the truce? Nothing yet. They're probably weighing the situation. That's what they say when they have no idea. As for sharing food, I don't think that's known quite yet.
Checkmate, brother. I've beaten you a third time.
So you have. I did not see that move coming. I was distracted.
Oh.
Nice job, Herman.
Thank you, fellow people. Soon I will be good enough to play you.
The Fed Beagle is a mathematician, Herman. He will map the trench with you.
At first, but some more I play.
What the hell are they doing?
They're playing football. They're playing football in Nemo's land.
Oh, fellow people, that is something I know how to do better than anybody here.
There you go, Billy. You too, Herman. Billy can't keep those English all by himself.
Fed Beagle! Fraternization with the enemy is grounds for court-martial. So far what we've done is strike a truce to bury our dead. Anything beyond that runs the risk of being treason.
Parents, they're boys. They want to go out and play, let them.
Happy Christmas!
But fair people,
Parents, you're young, much younger than Rudolph and I.
Oh, fellow people, I'm much younger than I look. That's what pig slop and an ugly pipe will do for you.
Do you not have appetite for play, other than chess and war strategies? You have a complex and engaged mind, and that type of mind demands play, or it festers and becomes diseased.
but we have a duty to fatherland.
We also have a truce to honor till midnight. And after that, you can do your duty without any kind of shame. You can kill as many English as you like.
I intend to.
The more the better. And the quicker we can end this war and get home. But until then, you let those boys play. All of them.
If you don't mind, fellow people, I think I'd like to stretch my legs a little bit as well.
You go, Rudolph. You show him how foosball was played nowadays.
No, I never played foosball, felt people. For once, I'd like to kick a pig that didn't shit on my shoe.
You're very tough, right? So once you get to know us, knowing Dim will not stay my citizens. Knowing me will not stay there. Even the captain? That is different. He is different. He's a man of God, not of guns.
I saw you both talking when you weren't translating to the man. You seemed to get on well.
Yes, he did, very well. He reminded me of our rabbi. Honest, sincere, a man unmoved to kill. But remember our pride. God punishing me if I must, I shall kill him too.
So you will kill them all? Grappled to the last gasp?
Yes, that is my duty as soldier.
And then when the war is over, and we are victorious, with whom will you treat?
These are not my responsibility.
Your responsibility as a soldier is to serve in war and peace, to adapt to either. And to keep the peace, you cannot harbor hatred for your former enemy, because he will be the man who helped keep the peace. Your duty as a soldier is to serve, not to fear, no matter how much hatred they tell you to fear.
I'm not an intellectual like you, fair people. I believe in the fatherland and our mission.
Believe, but do so with open eyes, so that belief doesn't become an unguarded channel for lies. Ask yourself, do those you believe in you?
The Oberst seems to believe in me.
He is a man who takes orders from those in charge. And those in charge haven't always been good to your people.
I know our history. The living restrictions in the ghettos across Europe. But this is the modern world, the 20th century. The Judengassen in Frankfurt was torn down ages ago. Things have changed for you. We are citizens now, with the same responsibilities and rights as everyone else.
Politics can change things in a heartbeat, even move them backwards.
Politics cannot change truths. The fatherland is a land of great strength, of art, music, science. It is one of the greatest empires in the world. Have you any idea what it would take to even destroy such a power?
A war that leaves his sharpest minds bleeding to death in the mud. Kill when you must, but walk the paths of angels when you can, lest you become a monster.
Well, if the handle split fire,
Duncan, you play football?
not for a long time, but if I don't get out there, the handle's sure to take advantage. In a shot, laddies!
When I first volunteered, I never thought I should see such a scene as this.
Children that play in a killing field.
Well, they are children, aren't they? Duncan and Rudolph are older than the others, but they're all really still boys at heart.
No surprise there. One way or another, every war ever fought was a children's crusade. A bloody game where old men sent young men out with delusions of glory, sent them out to die.
Giving guns to children and telling them that they are men does not make them men.
Not even killing makes them men. At least in times past, you had to look into the face of the man you killed. See his eyes. I expect they gave you a sense of the gravity of what you were doing. There's some of that now. When they try to come inside, you have to bayonet them or shoot them, but with rifles, artillery, landmines...
Sometimes you just don't know who or what you have put on your ledger.
If I'm to believe the top men of the church, there is no ledger when God is on your side.
There is always a ledger, there must be. No matter whose side God is supposed to be on. We are nothing without a ledger, Percy, nothing but animals.
The only ledgers that matter out here, I'm afraid, are those at places like Vickers Limited.
Sometimes the world can be such a hideous place.
No, Vicar. The world is quite beautiful. It's mankind that is hideous to the bone.
Come on, get it, Billy!
You notice how there's a man I get it wrong?
I have not been keeping score, fair people.
Ah, not with the match. I mean with each other. You notice how they can work out the particulars of the match without speaking each other's language? It's extraordinary.
Isn't it a lad? They're like children.
Ernst, you have any younger brothers and sisters? As serious as you are, you must be the oldest.
I am. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I had a 3rd sister, but she died when she was 7.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Hardly think of her anymore. That was a long time ago.
Well, think of her now. Come. Close your eyes. Think of when you were all young children back in Frankfurt. In a house I imagine wasn't very large in Borncott.
Yes.
Wasn't there anything sweeter than the laughter?
No, fair people. They annoyed me often, but they were delightful children. Quite funny.
And your sister who died?
Rachel.
Rachel, yes. How did she die?
Consumption. She suffered a long time.
So she had pain when she breathed and coughed up blood and bits of lung?
Yes.
If you could give Rachel one day before she died, wouldn't you want her to laugh and laugh and laugh?
Yes.
Now, open your eyes and look at your comrades. Wouldn't you want them to relive their childhood just for one day and laugh as you would have wanted your sister Rachel to laugh back then?
Vicar, our men will be hungry when they finish. I think we have enough tins of bully beef and McConaughey and cheese, dried cheese, and packets of dried vegetables. We could make a grand holiday stew.
McConaughey again? I see some of us don't have Duncan's stomach for that Aberdeen abomination.
We ate it yesterday, and 2 days before that.
Because there was little else to choose from, and we can heat the can in the fire underneath the coffee pot.
Hot, it is digestible. Cold.
Cold, I'd rather have prussic acid. The result would be the same. Do we have sufficient pepper, onions, and curry at least to make it palatable tonight?
Yes. It's Christmas, and we have a truce. The's no need to eat it cold, choking down lumps of fat. We'll heat it in one of the kettles.
Marvelous. And everything we eat afterward will taste like McConaughey. Perhaps we won't last until our replacements arrive.
We can crush biscuits into the mix. Perhaps we can add some sugar. Maybe the Germans will have something to add. Sausages or some spirits we can pour over the stew when it cools.
You're inviting the Germans to our Christmas feast.
Yes.
Perhaps we should serve the McConaughey carol.
And end the truce early.
It's a splendid idea, Percy. I'll get the kettle.
You certainly showed me a thing or two about football today. You have a good right foot.
No trench rot in that boot. You should think about joining the team at the forends.
I play for the local football club in Bonn. I want to try out for the German National League next year.
I'll beat that.
Hermann Rudolph was complimenting Billy on his play, but he surprised him with the news that he may play for the German national team of the DFB.
The DFB?
Deutsche Fußballbund, the German Football Association.
I'll wager you look right good in your kit, Billy. The girls must like it.
Billy says you must look good in your uniform.
So now that we know what Billy will be doing after the war, what about the rest of you?
I will go back to my shop in Dortmund.
After everything you've seen here?
Especially after everything I've seen here.
And what about you, Rudolph?
Pig farming's the only thing I know, Feldwebel. Back to my farm and my beast of a wife.
You know, Rudolph, you have shown everyone a photograph of that beast of a wife of yours. Even the English. But you never showed me.
To Feldwebel asking the men about their plans after the war. Hermann will go back to his barber shop, and Rudolph will go back to his farm with his ugly wife.
Wait, is that the woman in the picture he showed me? There's nothing ugly about her.
Rudolph, I never knew you were such a liar. The woman in this picture is very pretty.
Now, Feldwebel. But sooner or later, she will look like her mother. I'm simply waiting for that day.
Yeah, that's the woman. Rudolph is afraid she will grow to look like her mother. But it has not yet occurred to him that he may grow to look like his father. She may tire of him first.
And Ernst, he plans on staying in the army after the war.
It's noble to serve one's country, is it not? Even heroic.
Yes, but it's not the only form of heroism.
What is this heroic is serving one's country?
Serving one's family. After the war, I plan to return back to my village, my father's carpenter shop. I should like to help my sister find a husband who's worthy of her, and I take away for myself. Although our children will never want for shoes on their feet, I will make it my mission in life to see that they never go to bed unfed. That is the kind of hero I want to be. A quiet one. For my family.
Hungry citizens are... no, citizens are less troublesome than hungry citizens. He wants only to love and care for the wife and children he may hopes to have one day.
Oh. And what about you, Billy?
Back to Liverpool, enroll in university if they'll have me. The sergeant major here said he'll already provide a letter of reference. Perhaps I'll become a teacher like him. But before I get back to my mum's cooking, I'd like to go to a grand restaurant somewhere, like Paris or London, and erase the taste of what I've had to eat in this war.
Billy will return home. But first, he wants to eat somewhere where the food does not taste like shit.
This does taste like shit. I thought our food was bad. Of course, ours tastes like shit too. How does they expect us to fight a war once they feed us this shit?
I'm back to Scotland for you, huh, Duncan?
It'll be an early night in Scotland,
It's Feldwebel, and no, I've not as a pleasure.
It is a pleasure to look out upon some of God's greenest hills and valleys. But if you're for plain stones, Glasgow, Edinburgh, wondrous cities, and the like and kinder people you'll meet them.
Billy hopes to attend a university, and Duncan will return home to Scotland, which he says is too beautiful for simple English words. What about you, Thomas? Will you return to the church and your wife?
I can't return to my wife, Ernst. She died a few years ago.
I'm so sorry, I did not know.
Because I did not tell you. Death is life's hammer, Ernst. It deals every one of us a stunning blow from time to time.
I know. I've lost one of my sisters.
I am sorry for your loss. It's all part of a grand plan, or so they tell us. Yes, I will return to my church. I really don't know how to do anything except climb into a pulpit and talk.
Thomas will return to the church, but his wife passed away before the war.
So, back to the classroom for you, huh, Percy? So you can inspire more young minds like you obviously inspired young Billy here.
As will you, Johann. Whatever happens in this war, both of our countries will need teachers on the other side of it. Perhaps when there is peace between England and Germany, we can visit each other's classrooms and talk about our war experiences.
We might talk about this truce. I'm sure there's a lesson in it for everyone.
If they ever let us speak of it.
This is my address. Someone here should be able to tell you whether or not I've made it home alive. Sister of hers, that you met a German who thought that she was the most beautiful woman you'd ever seen. I will help you. Provide on her. Now, Christmas.
It's not yet time, but I can't help but wonder who will fire the first shot. The first shot will be the most difficult.
You truly believe that?
I do. After the peace is broken, I'm afraid it will be too easy to backslide into fighting.
Somehow I think the second shot will be just as difficult.
No, Vicar. If you must kill someone, you had best do it before you get to know him well enough to realize you have no reason to hate him. Or after you know him well enough to hate his guts. The ledger, if there must be one, must rest in that space between the two. It is there that the weight of transgression must be unbearable.
The space between the stranger and the person we hate. That's where most of us live, is that it? The first shot will wipe away that space like dust.
Yes.
Get over! A truce, Valvino? A truce? Have you succumbed to this madness like those fools north of you?
It was for Christmas, sir, so we could bury our dead and give the men a respite.
Respite? You don't win a war by taking a nap. You win it because you push yourself beyond your enemy's limits of endurance.
Yes, sir!
Do you realize I got all of you shot for treason?
Yes, sir!
All this saves you is the number of the morons who've taken upon themselves to stop the war. And for what?
For Christmas, or worse.
It was not a question, Barber.
Apologize to the Oberst, soldiers, and then remain silent!
Yes, Herr Bureau. I apologize, Herr Oberst, for presuming to speak.
It is not your place, any of you, to think or speak unless told to do so. Leave that thinking to us. And when is your true schedule to end?
On midnight, Christmas.
Christmas? To hell with Christmas! This war has nothing to do with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Yes, sir!
Your truce is over.
Sir?
Are you deaf as well as stupid? The truce is ended.
Should we open fire, Earl?
Not just yet, your fighter. The Kaiser may have called them a contemptible little army, but for weeks we've been unable to break through their line. Within a month or two, the generals assure me there'll be a new poison gas that can render the enemy impotent.
Get over it. I hope it is better than the tear gas they sent us a month ago.
It matters not. Those of us managing the battlefield now are old-fashioned warriors. We will not wait for the untested flatulence of a bespectacled chemist. Within the hour, we will unleash a massive artillery barrage while the English are still sluggish from this truce nonsense. They'll be unprepared for a concentrated assault. Be prepared to storm their trench when the shelling stops. And pick up the pieces with your bayonets if necessary. We may finally be able to gain ground through this miserable stretch of mud. Ready yourselves, men! For the fatherland!
For the fatherland!
What will you do, Benview?
What would you have me do?
Do not know.
What would you do if you were in my place? Which you very well might be when I am killed.
Or executed. I would warn them, fair people.
You would warn the enemy of an impending attack? Are there no clear grounds for treason?
None.
And you would warn them? Why?
Something you said earlier to me, fair people. I am to serve in both war and peace. If we cannot honor the terms of the temporary peace, then we can never have a permanent peace. Go. Tell them. I will cover for you until you return.
Sergeant Major! The German sergeant Johann's on his way over here. Bloody hell! I just received word the colonel is on his way to our position.
We can't have him in the trench when the colonel gets here, unless we take him prisoner.
John, get out to Johann, find out what he wants, and get back here quickly. Yes, Sergeant Major. Colonel!
Sergeant Major! All day I've heard disturbing reports about some kind of Christmas truce. At various points along this admittedly endless trench line, both our soldiers and the Huns put down their guns and took a day off from the war. Did that happen here?
Yes, sir.
And whose idea was the truce in this sector?
Mine, sir, and mine alone.
Was there some lapse of judgment on your part, Sergeant Major?
No, sir. I thought we could honor our fallen with a decent burial. The only way we could make that happen was to allow the Germans to do the same thing.
Then give them a chance to rest as well, just when we are starting to weaken their line.
If I were in no man's land, sir, I should be grateful not to be left to the rats and ravens.
Rats and ravens. Sergeant Major, are you attempting to be sarcastic or ironic, or whatever it is you literary chaps do, when you make fun of someone you don't believe is as smart as you?
No, sir.
Becca.
Yes, sir.
What was your role in this lunacy?
My job, sir. I said prayers for the dead.
The dead Huns, too.
They were men, sir, with souls.
German souls are the German chaplain's responsibility.
His was one of the bodies over which I prayed.
Quite honestly, Vicar, we don't give a damn whether they go to hell or not.
They've been to hell, sir. Right here, we all have. My job is to help them rest in peace.
Your job is to comfort the afflicted. Those who can hear your prayers, not those who can't.
Sir, true prayer is intended for other than human ears.
Vicar, you can pray to whomever the hell you want. But henceforth you shall do so from the field hospital. This is no place for a man like you.
This is exactly the place for a man like me, sir.
We shall see what your superiors in the Church of England think about that. I order you to immediately gather your things and make your way through the trench network to the field hospital. Now the rest of you, before we begin our massive artillery barrage, I order you to prepare, and you thank your lucky stars that I have decided not to press charges of fraternization with. What the hell are you looking at on this wickening?
Nothing, sir.
Information, sir. Sergeant Major, 200 within pistol range. An officer, perhaps, and an enlisted man. It seems that fate has given you an opportunity to redeem yourself.
Sir?
The enemy is within range. It matters little to me whether you use your rifle or your Browning, but I order you to shoot at least one of those bloody bastards.
Sir, the situation is not what you...
Are you disobeying the direct order?
What the Sergeant Major means, Colonel.
Stay out of this, Becca! I know what you're going to say. The truce is not over yet. It would be dishonorable to fire until midnight.
Sir, the difficulty is...
There is no difficulty. War is simple.
You were right. The second shot wasn't difficult at all.
Vicar, why?
Better I should go to hell than he should force your hand.
No greater love.
The boy is dead, Percy.
Who fired? The truce isn't over yet! Damn cowards!
It's okay, Ernst.
No, it's not, men people! You could have been shot and you went over the English! I should have never!
Warn us of what?
My commanders, they ordered a massive barrage. I wanted to make sure that you and all your men would take measures for safety.
Instead of listening, you shot your own men! You bloodthirsty man!
No! I sent John out here to warn your fellow people not to come near our trench because our colonel was coming.
It's true, Ernst. That's what John told me.
Then who shot John?
The colonel. In the darkness, he thought John was a German soldier, so he ordered me to shoot. When I wouldn't, he did. He never gave me a chance to explain.
The second shot. That could have hit you, men people.
No, it wasn't aimed in this direction. Thomas shot the colonel.
Tom?
Kaplan?
Yes.
Why would he do such a thing?
I believe he thought he was protecting you, Johann. He was willing to add a debit to his ledger of someone he had come to know.
I do not understand.
I think I do.
Or perhaps it was a moment of rage over having lost John.
Whatever the case, he will be tried for treason with murder.
Murder on a battlefield, imagine that.
He will be executed.
Percy, tell him we did it. Tell him that we killed John too. So that Thomas and all your men could live. If they survive.
The first casualty is truth. I'm sure you've already noticed that our High Command has begun an artillery barrage of its own.
God help us all.
Perhaps he did. Last night.
More than 30 years ago, we made our stand for sanity amidst the madness of the Great War. We had no idea the fighting would last 4 more years, or that when artillery smoke and poison gas clouds cleared, near nearly 10 million died like this, but few will be punished. We were warned to say nothing of peace on earth at Christmas, but there were no courts-martial. Instead, our units were dismantled. Courts-martial, you see, would have told the people of the world they could say no to war. Imagine the power that would have given them. But those who plant the seeds of war are much better farmers than those who plant the seeds of peace.
Despite hundreds of letters recounting the truces that first Christmas, there was never another. I returned to London, where my superiors in the Church of England, knowing nothing of my actual crime, assured me that the British Army was indeed God's trigger finger. That day, I stripped off my vestments and packed away my cross. If God needed a trigger finger, then I no longer needed God. I have, however, been unable to strip away the damp cling of my uniform and the weight of the Weatherly in my hand. When I am arrested for this confession, perhaps that will change. After the war, Johann left Germany for Birmingham to find John's sister and explain her brother's death. The last I heard, they were married and living in Canada. Ernst went home to reclaim his faith, but he remained German to the end. It is curious how war destroys faith in some, but restores it in others. For years, Ernst and I exchanged letters debating the nature of a God that permits such destruction. After Hitler came to power, Ernst's letters became less frequent, then stopped altogether. I advised him to leave, but in his last letter to me, he wrote, "I am a German and a veteran in good standing. I have nothing to fear." Percy became one of our most prominent scholars. He published 6 books and 2 monographs, none of them about the Great War. He was, however, a casualty of war. He died in a V-2 rocket attack on London last year. He was right when he said, "We will end war, or war will end us." But ours was not the war to do it. This Second World War has made ours seem like a stroll through Hyde Park. We do not yet know how many millions have been killed on battlefields, in hellish camps, in cities destroyed from the air, from last week's atomic bombs. I suspect the final numbers will stagger the imagination. If 70 years hence I could meet with my friend in that place where for one mad moment we silenced the guns of Christmas, we would see whether the lines we drew in Europe and the Middle East led to anything but further wars. He might remind me that H.G. Wells predicted the atomic bomb, and worse. And he might say that mankind's greatest sin is the theft of joy and hope from young men taught to hate and sent to die for land or money, or a God who remains strangely silent. And I would tell my friend But in all his philosophical musings, he never once posed the right question. If the world is truly beautiful, and mankind the despoiler, the question is not whether the human race can survive, but whether it deserves to. Respectfully yours, Thomas Sheffield Wayborn,